All right, everybody. We're back. This is the D-Bronx podcast hosted by myself, Ian Etheridge, my cousin Kevin Etheridge, and Austin Etheridge, who isn't here live with us right now, so he'll kind of chime in, conflicting schedules and stuff, so he's going to chime in a little bit later and give his points on the points that we have. So we're going to go right out the gate. We all know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Denver Broncos at home, beating the Dallas Cowboys, hashtag America's team, as they were 3-point favorites to beat us in Denver, which we all know that doesn't happen. So we're going to go right now. Kevin, how did you feel about the game?
Well, listen, I loved it, of course, and let me just right at the start apologize. I actually predicted Dallas. And how wrong was I? I know you picked the Broncos, so kudos to you, my colleague.
Thank you.
But, that was such a beatdown. I bet you the Cowboys just went straight from the field to the team bus. I don't even know if they stopped in the locker room. I think they took the jerseys off because they didn't want to be seen wearing their football jerseys outside of the stadium. They just walked straight to the team bus, and they told the driver, take us to the airport. And the bus driver's like, well, guys, your flight doesn't leave for like 4 hours. They're like, we don't care. Just go to the airport. We'll stay on the bus.
Yeah, push that flight.
Yeah, and we'll see if we can get out earlier, but we want to get out of here because we don't like what just happened, right? We got to get out of here. The Broncos beat them up. And Ezekiel Elliott, who I read the guy's never had a bad game in his life, right? Going all the way back to his college career, like the worst game he's ever had was like against Michigan or something. He had 52 yards as a freshman or something. I mean, he's never had a bad game, and he got punched in the mouth. And guess what happened? He gave up. Remember at the end of the game, he just walked off the field, didn't even attempt to tackle on a interception.
Oh, the Chris Harris interception between the right between the hands of old sure-handed Des Bryant. Yeah,
Des Bryant. So Elliott is sort of symbolic of I think what happened to that Cowboys team. We just ripped the heart right out of that team.
Agreed. They couldn't stop us, and they really couldn't stop our run. It was almost, we Swiss cheese that defensive line. Their offensive line, they're the best in the league on paper.
That's what I've heard.
On paper, apparently, or by Madden ratings or whatever. But we got Von Miller had 2 sacks. Ezekiel Elliott, like you were saying, with nine attempts for 8 yards and ripped what his biggest rush was 5 yards. Oof. That's a pretty terrible game. They just, when we decided that's the person we're just gonna stack the box, and if you guys can beat our no-fly zone, go right ahead.
Yeah, they're on islands. We're just going one-on-one. Nothing fancy.
Nothing.
Throw at them. Go ahead, throw at them.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's right there.
Right there. Des Bryant's number one.
Just throw at him.
Just throw. Just can you get it to him?
Oh, you can't get it to him. Oh, you might as well run. Well, guess what?
There's
nine guys in the box. So good luck with that.
Yeah, the safeties are there too. There's 2 people covering 3 people.
I know.
Oh man, it was.
There's no offensive. How do you adjust? There's no adjustments that can be made against that defense.
Just substitutions.
Yeah, just put new guys in.
That's all. They could. Look with Dak Prescott threw the ball 50 times against the no-fly zone and didn't crack 300 yards.
50 passes and 238 yards. Pathetic.
You throw it 50 times, you should be at least cresting 400.
It's 7-8 yards per pass, which is you're going to get 400-ish. That was just so impressive. It's a single game, but that was a statement game. And I tell you the other thing,
Yes.
I believe that game was an indication of how strong our coaching staff is. I mean, we're basically taking the same talent we had last year on offense. And anyone who knows anything about football knows that the Broncos offense, I'm going to say it, the offense has been an embarrassment for 2 years. We somehow won a Super Bowl with an embarrassing offense. That's
with
how
two
good
quarterbacks.
with two quarterbacks, and I mean, in last year, oh my God, and it was tough. Watching a lot of those games was tough. So many 3-and-outs. We led the league in 3-and-outs. We couldn't run the ball. We couldn't protect the quarterback. It was a mess. And so now we have a new offensive coordinator, McCoy. He's obviously figured out how to use the talent he has. We've got some new pieces on the offensive line, but that's not the strength of the team.
Right.
And I'm just so thrilled with what McCoy's done on offense. And then Joe Woods, I mean, my goodness, he made the controversial move by not – I'm sure it was his decision that made – or his sort of opinion that led to us not re-signing T.J. Ward. But he's made some changes there. He's bringing the linebackers in to help with the run. That was a major weakness last year. He seems to be scheming differently and in a better way than even the great
Wade Phillips.
Wade Phillips. And, gosh, that guy will be one of my favorite Broncos coaches of all time. He brought us a Super Bowl. But I think Joe Woods has got a different energy and a different scheme, and it's working. And then ultimately, Vance Joseph. I mean, one of the things I noticed about this Broncos team, Ian, you probably picked up on it, but every time a Broncos player hit the ground, a running back, a defender, there was another Broncos player extending a hand. Boom, right here, picking the guy up.
Oh,
you
yeah.
notice that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a sign of great team chemistry, players that like each other, that respect each other, tremendous teamwork, and that starts at the top. It starts with the coach. I think Vance Joseph looks like he was exactly what we needed. And he's brought this team together. He's obviously John Elway gets a lot of credit, too, for surrounding Joseph with a great coaching staff. But, man, it's hard not to be really excited after that game.
Really excited. I mean, that was a tough matchup. I mean, it's pretty hard, to be a new coach and just come straight out and win your first two games. I won't mention the last time that happened.
Well, we might as well get that out on the table. We had McDoofus as our coach, McCoody or McDumbass.
Yeah.
He started out 6-0, and we got hit by like a road grader after that. And then last year we started 4-0, but we were like a paper mache or a paper lion team. We were 4-0, but it's not like we felt so good about it. Our offense. We had one good game against Cincinnati, I think, week 2, but it's not like we were lighting it up. This year's team just feels different. I mean, if we go 8-8, I'll be stunned. Here's what I think. I think we beat Buffalo. If we beat the Raiders in Denver,
mm-hmm.
and we go 4-0 into the bye week, I'm going to tell you it's impossible for this team not to win 11 games. We're going to win 11 or 12 games almost automatically. If we can win the next 2, this team has a shot to not only win the playoffs, but to win the division.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, we have to. Yeah, that Raiders game is. But you got to think, Raiders. I mean, look at Derek Carr hasn't been really pushing the ball down the field that well in the first 2 games. I mean, they've been blowing people out, but look who they've been playing. But I think we at least if we go in there and beat the Bills, which I think they're a better team than they show on paper. Offense is just completely atrocious, but their defense is respectable. They've yet to give up a touchdown through the air. So that'll be tough. A little tougher on Simeon, Sanders, and Thomas, but we make it through. We make it 4-0, get to the bye week. Yeah, I agree exactly with you. There's no way we don't go at least 11 wins.
And how freakish is the AFC West? I mean, you could argue between Kansas City, Oakland, and Denver, you've got the top 3 teams in the league all in the same division. I mean, really. I think Kansas City is going to fall to earth. I don't think their defense is spectacular. I think they're average. I think the Raiders have an average defense. I think our offense – now that they've really stepped it up, I think we're the better team. I think we're better than both Oakland and Casey. It doesn't mean we're going to sweep them. We're probably going to split. Hopefully we split. But I do think we have more talent than those teams. And if we can avoid some major injuries this year, I think we've got a good chance to win the division. But we'll see. I mean, they're tough teams. I mean, they clearly are tough teams. But I
feel like the Chiefs. They're just they got like a hybrid between a college playbook and an NFL playbook.
Boy,
you ever notice that?
Yeah, they've got some explosive guys on offense for sure.
Rookies do usually fall back to earth. I mean, I understand Kareem Hunt's. Man, look at this guy. We got him in the second or third round, and he's going to be this. Like, yeah, he's had some 2 impressive weeks, especially that one against the Patriots. That was really impressive. But yeah, Patriots
but
are known.
Broncos are going to. They're going to do. Hey, look, you know what they're going to do to him? Exactly what they did to Dallas.
Yeah, but you know who? It's so funny. They talk about Kareem Hunt and everything. That's the big talk of the town. Who leads the league in rushing?
Anderson, right?
No, Kareem Hunt does, but Denver Broncos.
Oh, Broncos. Yeah, Broncos overall. Yeah.
Overall, but Kareem Hunt's just like a hair above C.J. Anderson. No love in the media outside of Denver media.
I know.
It's all Kareem Hunt. Oh my goodness, it's all fantasy crap.
And he's flashy, and the guy's impressive. He really is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But just back to the Dallas game, just a couple other observations, and then we're going to need to get on to shuffle off to Buffalo here, I guess. But individual effort. How about Benny Fowler? Okay,
trying to get back up.
He catches that ball, he gives up his body, and he lands directly on his head.
Dude, that's speed. A touchdown. He hit the pylon.
I think, but yes, I mean, I just love the effort. And, he bounced right up, and he hit the ground. He bounced up again, hit the ground. It was tough to see. It was really tough to see that.
I mean, that was a third-round knockout.
He didn't know where he was.
No.
But you got to love the effort.
Oh, no, it was a great catch. I mean, he's a fantastic. That's another guy that's coming into his own.
I know.
Benny Fowler.
We needed this third receiver. I think we have it now.
I think we do.
He may not play. So I wanted to mention that catch. I loved it. I wanted to just also recognize the enormous improvement we've seen out of number 99.
Adam Gottis.
Gottis. Man, that guy's made a big difference on the defensive line. The other thing I wanted to recognize was our first round draft pick, Bowles.
Man, that dude is a beast.
He is a man-child, but he went down, and I guess it was painful. He was probably thinking, "Man, this is a career ender."
I thought he tore his ACL, like the way he was, tearing up and clapping and blowing kisses to the crowd. I'm like, man, to find out, this guy has like a paper cut.
Well, I think it clearly was pretty painful. But the point I'm going to make is, I loved the fighting spirit, the heart he showed, and the fact that our right tackle, help me out, the guy we got from the Raiders, what's his name?
Menelik Watson.
Watson came over. You notice that gave him a big hug in the cart.
Yep.
Which was a nice teammate, good gesture, and Bowles was crying and waving at the crowd. I don't know, it just seems symbolic. His behavior, I think, is symbolic of the heart and passion that this team has. It's been instilled by Vance Joseph.
It's a family effort.
It's a family. Boy, I tell you what, we dodged a major bullet with Bowles.
Just a bone bruise. And he's practicing. He's questionable.
Practicing. I bet you they don't play him this week. I guarantee you that they rest him. They want him full speed for the Raiders. But, boy, it's great that he's not going to miss a lot of time.
I thought he was out. I mean, when they said when all the tests came back negative for he didn't blow his knee out, but he didn't tear anything. He didn't sprain anything. It's a bone bruise. And I was like, okay, that hurts still. I've had a bone bruise before. That's something. But he's back. Thursday he's back on the practice field putting playing 7-on-7.
Yeah. Now, in this week, in terms of injury, so he's listed as questionable.
So is Benny
Uh,
Fowler.
Benny Fowler, he's concussion protocol, and then who's our rookie backup
Brandon
cornerback?
Lang.
Right, I
Brandon
think
Lang-
he's out.
Langley.
He's
He's
out.
out, and then so is what's his name? Who's the other person that's out? We know Jared Crick's out.
He's
He's
out
on
for the
IR.
year, probably.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's gone.
we also know Paxton Lynch is out.
Oh, Paxton Lynch is the other one that ended up on. It's only Paxton and Brandon Langley.
Langley. So I said, if you go back and listen to our preseason, our final preseason podcast, I made the prediction that Paxton Lynch was going to be nursing that injury for a long time. Long time. They are not rushing him back because I don't think they want him back. Not this year. They don't need him. I feel the Broncos think that what's his name? Brock Osweiler
It's serviceable enough.
is better as a backup right now in this offense.
I agree. He
And
knows
we
the wide receivers. He knows,
and he's got
yeah.
a lot more experience in the league, right? And guess what? This could be a redo of 2015. If Simeon gets nicked up, he has to miss any games, just like 2015, we send Brock out there.
Yeah. I hope not, but because I like Simeon more than I like Brock.
Me too, but I'd feel better about Brock with his experience, wouldn't you, than putting a Lynch out there right now?
Yes. Oh, by far. Lynch is. I mean, I knew when we drafted him, he was going to be what they call that quote unquote project. You don't draft. I mean, I heard that after. I mean, I heard it during the drafting process, but man, you don't want to draft somebody in the first round that's going to be a project.
No. Yeah, let's not burn too much. Let's not burn too much airtime on Lynch. I mean, we're bringing down everybody right
Poor
now.
guy
right?
too, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's only a year too. I mean, but you can't move away right now. Can't the progression that Simeon has had from barely doing anything at Northwestern. I mean, really, he was injured half the time there, and then being a 7th round pick, and then
Listen, and let me give a quick shout out to Austin. I want Austin to weigh in here, but
Yeah.
Austin last year was defending Simeon when I wasn't so much, and turned out Austin's was correct about this guy. Last year, Simeon had no pass protection. We had no run game.
True.
We had a predictable completely predictable play calling. And this guy still had an 87 or something like that passer rating and put up very respectable numbers. Now, better scheme. We got a run offense. This guy's lighting it up. He's got more touchdowns than anyone in the league. So why don't we turn it over to Austin? Austin, give us your thoughts on the Dallas game.
Well, thanks, Kevin. First of all, what a game. I'm not going to spend too much time. I'm just going to kind of hit on a couple things. But yeah, Trevor Simeon, I've been proudly speaking his name since he won the job the first time. Try to stay on his side and defend him even as we saw things kind of fall apart. Not necessarily for him entirely, but just for the team last season as the offensive line just seemingly got worse and worse as the season went on. And our run defense got worse and worse as the season went on. But Dallas game, I mean, speaking of the offensive line, I mean, just dominated in the run game. Now, of course, there were times where the offensive line still looked weak in pass protection, and I think that's the one area that Denver needs to improve on. But they looked dominant in the run game. Even guys, Watson seems to be a little bit of a liability right now in pass protection, but in run blocking, man, that dude just fires off the ball and he does it well. So there just needs to be a little bit more development, I think, chemistry in the front five in the pass protection, but they looked great in the run game. C.J. Anderson, what a game! Even Jamal Charles, I mean, only 9 carries, but 46 or whatever, how many yards it was. I mean, I think he was I think he averaged just over 5 yards a carry. So he still, when he comes in, he still has it. Um, Obviously, C.J. Anderson kind of just going with the hot hand. I think he is truly the starter and the featured back. But to have a guy like Jamal Charles that can come in and pick up at a 5 yards per carry clip, that is just invaluable to have that. So, um, yeah, just an absolutely demolishing of the Cowboys. Trevor Siemian looks like a man on fire right now, and I know you guys touch on the interception that he threw. I mean, it didn't necessarily look like Demaryius Thomas ran an incorrect route, but rather that, or that it didn't seem like he didn't finish the route. It just looked like they were on different page, that he ran a different route, and so that's that's hard. It's hard to put blame on Simeon or Thomas on that one. That's, I think, just somebody had a different route in mind, and I don't know who was right and who was wrong, but somebody had a different route in mind, and they were just miscommunication. I mean, Simeon would had an otherwise perfect game if it weren't for that miscommunication. The defense looks unbelievable. I mean, you guys were talking about Adam Gotsis. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, where did this guy come from? How has he developed this much from last year to this year? It's been a revelation. I mean, the guys that we have down, the injuries that we have in that front seven or front three or four, more specifically, that seemed, it was a little bit of a worry to me, especially coming into this game with the offense, the offensive line of the Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott running the ball. I think that was a little bit of a worry for me, but these guys are just manhandling offensive lines right now. I mean, Dallas has been widely considered the best offensive line for a couple of years now. So to do what we did to them, just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Just all around. Broncos look like they could be one of the best, if not the best teams, not only in the AFC West right now, but in the entire league. So hopefully that carries on. We do have a test this week at Buffalo, so we'll get to that in a little bit as you guys get to that point. So back to you guys.
Yeah, well, always good to hear from Austin.
Austin, yeah, definitely. What you were saying before Austin started talking. When Austin defended Simeon, we're more cold-hearted Bronco fans than Austin is.
I would agree.
We're next man up. Oh, you threw a pick?
We're X's
Get him
O's,
out.
Man.
I don't care. Oh, you're.
Yeah.
You ain't winning. Get out of the yeah. We're just get out. Austin saw. I mean, we all saw what he had. We're just more to we're more instant gratification.
We like the upside of Lynch, man. Come on, get Lynch out there. Let's work out. But you know what? Yeah, Simeon is proven to be. I think he's our quarterback of the future. I don't think there's any doubt. I've seen enough out of him right now. I'm convinced.
I mean, he could. He could be. He's got the arm. He gets the ball up quick. With the even better you can still make our O-line considerably better because, he's still getting rocked around a little bit. But I like his decision making. His red zone this year is insane. I will throw a little factoid out there that the offense needs to get a little bit better on before we move on to the Bills. So the Broncos have turned the ball over 4 times, right?
Yep.
You know how many times that's turned into a touchdown?
4 times.
4 times. We've only given up 5 touchdowns.
All on the offense, except for one, right?
And all of them, I think all of them but one have been inside Denver territory. So either way, they could have basically been a field goal. Anyways, they were going to score anyways. But Yeah. So basically, Broncos defense only giving up really one touchdown, and that was with Des Bryant.
And by the way, Simeon, 106.7 passer rating. He's one of the top 6 or 7 guys. I think he's number 6 in the league in passer rating.
Yep.
He's completing 65% of his passes.
Yep.
6 touchdowns, as we mentioned earlier, only 2 picks.
That's good.
And here's the really impressive stat. How well this offense is converting on third down. I believe we lead the league in third down conversions.
Lead the league.
And it's clearly a big part of that is Paxton Lynch.
You mean Trevor Siemian.
What did I say, Paxton? Yeah, Trevor Siemian.
Because we were talking about him earlier.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm sure all the listeners auto-corrected that, instantly. They knew what I meant.
Just a little
but
bit
anyway,
wild.
So what do you got? What else? Anything else on the Dallas game, Ian?
I mean, and that pick that Simeon threw, that was obvious miscommunication between him and Demaryius Thomas.
Yep.
Because, I mean, it didn't even look like Demaryius Thomas finished the route, honestly. Because I was like, as soon as it happened, I was like yelling at the screen, like, where are you throwing the ball? And they slowed it down. And I was like, well, where was Thomas running to? Because he, like, turned and, like, the ball's over here. It's like I felt like he wasn't supposed to do a button hook route. He's supposed to do like a slant route, and it just looked like it was a mess.
It's still early on. And by the way, Demaryius Thomas was the one who said that that Simeon is like, was it Thomas that said he was like Manning, right? I think Thomas said
that was
it.
Von Miller.
Von Miller. So I was reading more about that, and apparently, and I heard Derek Wolfe talking about it, they said Simeon is like, he's a young guy. Was he 25 or something like that?
I think 24, 25, yeah.
But he acts like he's 40. Like, he walks in the locker room. He's got a cup of coffee.
He's got, like, dad jokes and, like...
He's sort of... I think that, 2 years he was on the roster with Manning. Or maybe it was 1 year, 1 or 2 years.
1 year.
But Simeon was smart enough to study Manning. And now he's just mimicked Manning's approach to the game, his study, his mannerisms, I think the way he relates to his team and leads the team. And that's something that Paxton Lynch didn't have the benefit. He did not benefit from schooling under Manning, right? No. But so I think Simeon in a lot of ways is a gift that Manning left us.
I think so. I agree. Kind of like Chris Harris is the gift that Bailey left us.
Yeah, good. Exactly. Oh, and Von Miller, the Miller that we see now, is a gift that DeMarcus Ware left us.
Yeah. Clean up your act, kid.
And I think Goddess is a gift from Derek Wolfe. He's become like another Derek Wolfe.
Man, you imagine? Yeah, Gotsis. That dude.
But Wolf and Gotsis are scary guys, man. They're just scary, mean guys on that line.
They look. Especially. Derek Wolfe just looks scary.
Scary, but Gotsis is looking that way, man. He put on like 20 pounds of muscle during the offseason. I really hope they don't do any PED testing on Gotsis. I got a funny feeling he's juicing. He's like a different guy this year.
Oh yeah, he did. Oh yeah, I think he took a couple shots.
I think he figured something out. He
figured it out. I think he got some anabolic steroids just came out.
I think Romanowski may have flown down to his off-season home. God says, "Hey, I got a duffel bag. I want to go through some.
I got some leftovers."
Yeah.
Some I didn't take from the
90s
after I broke that dude's jaw on the Raiders. Remember he ended that guy's career?
Oh, yeah. He was also spitting on people. That guy was so jacked up on steroids. But he admitted that after his career. He goes, what was I supposed to do? I had to keep up with all these athletes. He basically said he was just not really equipped to play at that super high level, that he needed the PEDs. But anyway, real quick, that's a good segue. So Romanowski was our linebacker, late 90s. I think he was on both Super Bowl teams. He was clearly on the first one when we beat Green Bay.
I think he made it through 2001.
Okay, you're right. So he was there for both of our Super Bowl victories. And Yeah, I was talking to your brother earlier in the week, Austin, and this is hyperbole, perhaps. It's only 2 games in, but as a lifelong Broncos viewer, the best Broncos teams we've ever had since I started watching them back in the mid '70s is that '97 and '98 team with Elway. Bunch of Hall of Famers on there and all pros. I mean, that was a very dominant team. But I think this team, I think our offense is probably talent-wise, other than Elway. Simeon's not Elway. But I think talent-wise, we're not too far off from that offense, and productivity-wise, I think we can get there. We'll probably never. This team's not going to be as good offensively as that team, but I think we're in the ballpark. The difference is I think we have a vastly superior defense to the '97-'98 Super Bowl teams. If you go back and look at the statistics, we had a mid-tier defense back then.
Mm-hmm.
And they were opportunistic. I think they, probably did. I recall they got a lot of turnovers, but teams scored on us. We just outscored teams those 2 years.
Right.
But this is a world-class defense we have. So I would say, just in terms of talent, this is a better team than even those back-to-back Super Bowl squads.
True. I feel like our wide receiver talent is about on par. A little bit faster, I'd say. This group. I mean, we had Ed the Bruise,
McCaffrey. Now you're comparing to McCaffrey
and Rod Smith.
We're not better than those guys, but we're
pretty close. We're pretty close. I mean, you got Rod Smith, undrafted free agent, one of the best ever.
Yeah.
The offensive line was superior to what we have.
True.
Superior, led by, ESPN's own Mark Shrelith or whatever that.
Yep.
His name is so hard to pronounce. But the running back, I mean, guy could play blind. Davis.
But go to the defense. That's the difference. That's where we're vastly superior.
Yeah, they had individual playmakers on defense. I mean, Romanowski, they had hard hitters. They had Romanowski.
Atwater.
They had Atwater. The real 27. Sorry, Brandon Langley. But
didn't have the edge rushers back then.
No. Just defensively, from 2015 till now, the Broncos have never seen. This is unprecedented waters.
Exactly.
Better than Orange Crush. Better than the.
I think so. And you know what? I got to stop us right now, and you're going to thank me for this because if we lose the next 2 games, we're going to want to erase this podcast. You know that.
And we may.
So why don't we just apologize to all our listeners? We're getting ahead of ourselves right now. Let's save this conversation till
30 minutes of fluffing our egos.
Yeah. But I'll just say, on paper, I think this team, talent-wise, is good enough to win a Super Bowl this year. And maybe we can play the '98 versus the 2015 Broncos on Madden if you can figure out how to do that. But let's hear from Austin. Let's hear. Austin was a very young man when we won those back-to-back Super Bowls. But Austin, any opinion? Is this team talent-wise as good as any Broncos team that you've ever seen?
It's a good question. I mean, the team in the '90s, though I was young, I mean, they were dominant teams. I mean, there was no doubt about it that they were dominant teams, and like you said, definitely better on the offensive side of the ball than they were on the defensive side of the ball. Opportunistic, but not an elite defense, I don't think, by any stretch. They had elite players, Steve Atwater, namely. They had some elite players, but we're certainly not an elite defense as a whole. And I think comparing it to this year's team, the defense has just gobs of more talent. They're a much better unit as a whole as well. They work very well together, have great chemistry, and I think that plays hugely into it. No, the cornerbacks and the secondary that we have allows the defense to be able to do a lot of things that other defenses can't do, including those defenses of the late '90s. They didn't have the secondary that we have. and so they were more scheme based where we could literally just play man to man across the board. Our guy goes and beat your guy. Period. End of story. Um, so I think definitely a defensive side of the ball we have elite talent, much more talent than we did in those days. And offensively, I mean, I'll tell you what, we may not be, our receivers may not be better um, than the McCaffrey and Smith duo that we had, but I don't know that we're that much worse. I mean, I think Thomas. I mean, he's one of only two or three, one of two or three quarterbacks to finish 5 consecutive years with at least 90 catches and at least 1,000 yards, and that's, I mean, as great as Rod Smith was, that's ridiculous. Just how good he's been throughout his career, and Sanders. I mean, we all know about Sanders, what he's been able to do since he's come to the Broncos, and the types of plays and clutch situations that he's been able to come into and perform at. So though we may not necessarily be better at the receiver level than we were at those in those days, I don't think we're much worse. I'd say equal at we're probably equal at worst as to we were in those days. Um, and Ian nailed it that our offensive line was much better in those days. I think if you broke it down overall, uh, we're fairly equal. I mean, we're fairly equal. I think to those teams. I think maybe uh, you might give those teams very slight advantage, just because you had Elway. I mean, let's be real. You had Elway, and you had a very, very, very elite offensive line. And so I think you may give the slight edge to those teams, um, just because they were superior probably in two categories where we're superior in one. Um, with that being the defense and the secondary. But it's such a toss up. I really can't say for sure. Just kind of more of a toss up. So, but I think either answer can either team you can make the case for. So I think this team is different, built differently, but certainly elite in a lot of ways.
All right, sweet.
Yeah. All right, Ian. What do we talk about? Do we move on to Buffalo?
Have to. Gotta go. Gotta move on to old Buffalo, basically Canada, going up against our old OC, Rick Dennison, if you want to call him an offensive coordinator.
He's offensive, all right.
Yeah, he's offensive. I think he's a defensive coordinator, posing as an offensive coordinator because he doesn't get anything done. Man.
Oh, man, I tell you what, I'm just glad he's gone. And
God,
anyway,
I mean, talk about cancer that you could not eradicate out of a coaching staff. What's wrong with our offense? I think it's that guy with that hat that keeps on looking down at the ground.
mm-hmm,
Yeah,
yeah.
why don't you take that clipboard and bust it over his head? But so we go against them, and funny thing is, this is going to be our third top 10 running back that we're going against. I mean, they really loaded the box in the first part of the season with the running backs that we have to go against, knowing that our team was absolutely horrible at defending the run last year. Now we're number 3 in the league at run defense. So now we go against LaShawn McCoy that ran for literally basically the same amount of yards as Ezekiel Elliott last week did against us, against the Panthers. So hopefully he can repeat the same performance.
So McCoy,
Yeah.
he
McCoy
was shut down by the Panthers?
Yes. It was bad. It was like 12 for like 15.
Wow.
It was a nightmare. I have him in fantasy. It was embarrassing.
Well, the Bills have a really good front seven. I mean, the Broncos coaches keep talking about how good the front seven is. Although
Yeah.
we catch a little bit of a break. I read today that Darius Marcel Darius.
Marcel Darius, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually reading it like it's on my computer. Darius, comma Marcel. What is Marcel
Oh,
Darius?
okay, like
Yeah.
you're reading his ID
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, exactly. First round draft pick the same year.
Is Von Miller.
Miller came out, and by the way, back then a lot of people had the Broncos picking Marcel Darius with the number 2 overall pick.
He was actually mad about that. He was actually mad. He wanted to go to the Broncos when that happened. He said he was going to prove the world because they were fluctuating between Von Miller and Marcel Darius as who was going to be the second pick because they all knew Cam Newton was going to be the first pick.
Right.
Who was going to be that second round pick? Broncos pick. And he said, "I'm going to prove the world that I should have been the second pick." Sorry, bro.
I mean, listen, if the draft was held all over again, same
He
result.
would still go behind Von Miller, obviously.
Oh, he's been a good pro. I think he's been to a couple all pros, but he's not at the level Von Miller is. But
No, he's definitely a good
player.
lineman. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So but he's out. He's been ruled out for this game.
Unfortunate for him, but I love it.
Yep. And there's another guy, a rotational guy on the line, I think might be out as well. So they're going to be a little bit thinner in the D line. But I don't, Buffalo's, interestingly enough, Buffalo's one of the few teams, and maybe the only team in the league, I'm going to say only team, but if there may be one other team that has a winning record against the Broncos, historically.
Yeah,
I think the Raiders still do because the Raiders just destroyed us back in the 60s, right, when we were nothing.
Yeah,
but the Bills are like 19 victories against 16 losses against the Broncos. And
Bills killed us during the Kelly years.
Yeah, they did.
Andre Reed era.
Yeah. But so, yeah, the Bills are not an easy victory, particularly in Buffalo. Luckily, we're not playing them up there in December.
Thank
it's
God.
going to be like 82 degrees there this weekend. So we're not going to deal with the winds and the snow and the ice and all that kind of stuff up there. But I mean, I clearly like our chances. I mean, people are saying trap game. I don't see this as being a trap game. Not with this coaching staff and these players. We've got veteran leadership. They're going to go up there and they're going to.
I actually hate that term.
I know.
Trap game. I'm like, you know what? Yeah.
They're going to shut the door on that rushing game. And listen, their quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. Thyroid Taylor.
He's got a weight problem.
I don't think Thyroid Taylor is going to be able to dissect that no-fly zone with his arm.
No, and I don't know, maybe if they wouldn't have given up Sammy Watkins, because we saw what he did last night with that really impressive Thursday night football game I watched.
Jared Goff is looking really good.
I actually went to the bar and watched that game just for giggles. I was like, I'll go have a couple beers, watch this game, and I was I enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I had, the funny thing, this is going to be kind of a, I had Todd Gurley, and I'm going against you.
Oh, I didn't even know. Really?
Yeah.
Well, listen, you got an easy matchup, man, because I don't want to get into fantasy right now. Really bore the listeners.
No,
go ahead.
But so I'm, I don't know where I was kind of went off a tangent on that one a little bit. But I think I don't think it's a trap game. I think we're going to play the same way we played Zeke Elliott. They have far less talented wide receivers on that team than Dallas does. I mean, it's the only matchup problems we have is, so the Bills haven't given up a touchdown through the air yet, which is only 2 games, but they play a pretty decent secondary. They're a pretty decent secondary, so we're gonna have to definitely be on her game in the passing game against the Bills. Really, I mean, they're not
Well,
a slack. They're no slouch on defense. I think.
well, we'll see. Yeah, I agree. I think they do. I mean, they clearly have a stout defense and secondary.
Yeah.
I worry a little bit about the O line because they've got some good pass rushers, particularly if we're going to be down a left tackle this week. But yeah, the Bills. I'm looking at their starting lineup. I mean, there's not many guys I even recognize. I mean, their wide receivers are Jordan Matthews and Zay Jones.
Zay Jones
Who's
is
a
a
rookie.
rookie. Jordan Matthews came over in
Philly.
from Philly. He's decent, but he's always battling an injury.
Yep. So they
So-
have, and they got the tight end is very pedestrian, Charles Clay. Who's
I like him. I like Charles Clay. I do. He could put up the same kind of numbers that Witten put up last week, which was 97 and a touchdown.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
But I'll
Shall
give
see.
that up all day to shut down LaShawn McCoy.
All right. So, what's your prediction on this game here?
Broncos, I'm going to go. I'm going to go 28-7.
Wow. On the road, that's a butt kick in there. 28-7
It
in
is.
their backyard.
In their backyard. If they had Marcel Darius, Jordan Matthews wasn't a little banged up, I'd pick them to at least get 14, but I'm not seeing them scoring too much because they're not really scoring that much against defenses that are way worse than ours.
I mean, listen, if our offense doesn't turn the ball over, and you pointed this out earlier,
Yeah.
four turnovers, 4 touchdowns we've given
Yeah.
up, short field. By the way, just as a side note, I love Joe Woods. His whole thing is he's telling the defense, look, I don't care if we've got to defend 100 yards or we have to
Or a
defend
blade of grass.
A blade of grass.
You read the same article I read.
I love it. The blade of grass mentality. Then I heard Von Miller repeating it, right? So the players are listening to him. But if we don't turn the ball over, I really can't see Buffalo scoring more than a touchdown in the field goal. So I'm with you. I don't think they score more than 10.
Yeah.
I'll give them 10 at home. Rich Dennison's probably going to be fired up. Maybe he manages to call a decent series or two.
I doubt it.
So I'll give them 10, but I think with the way our offense is cranked up, I think we go 20. I'm going to say 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. We're probably going to be pretty close. I think 27-10 is what
Okay,
we
yeah,
we'll
I like
walk
it.
out of there.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's a respectable call.
Let's hear from Austin. Austin, what do you think?
Buffalo's I think Buffalo's a better team than a lot of people give them credit for. They beat the Jets. I mean, obviously, that's not much of an accomplishment. But I do think that we're going to. I do think we're gonna beat them pretty handily. I was predicting that we're gonna score 27 against them, like you, Kevin. I'm thinking they'll score maybe 14. I'm thinking 27-14 Denver. Um, Primarily, 2 touchdowns, home field advantage. Maybe that helps them out a little bit. We may have another one of those, awkward turnovers that we've been having this season. Um, that they may capitalize on. So I'm thinking 27-14. I think we just got to bottle up LaShawn McCoy, which is going to be different than bottling up Ezekiel Elliott because they're completely 2 different run styles. Elliott's more of a hit the hole and go. LaShawn McCoy is more patient. He will wait for a hole to open up. He can dance around you and elude you a little bit more than Elliott can. So he presents a different challenge. I wouldn't say necessarily that it's a harder challenge, but definitely a different type of challenge. So just a little bit of an adjustment this week. I think Taylor and the passing game is going to be pretty throttled by our secondary. I think the only chance they may have is Tyrod Taylor maybe extending plays with his legs. and waiting for things to open up downfield. But other than that, I don't really think it's gonna happen very often. So I'm gonna take Denver, like I said, 27-14.
All right, sounds like we're unanimous.
I think so. Have to be. Why ain't you losing this one?
Yeah, and boy, I tell you what,
Trap
next.
game.
Well, trap game is here's the deal with the trap game, and I do believe in the concept.
I believe in it too.
I believe in the terminology, but trap game is we had a huge Dallas game at home, statement game, and now we got the Raiders next weekend. This is a trap game. I'm telling you.
I mean, it is because you throw that. It's just the Bills.
It's just the Bills.
And they come in and they stick it to you, like.
Yeah, and sports are so emotional.
Yeah, they are.
So I could see him being a little bit down emotionally, and looking ahead. But I go back to what I said earlier. I predicted 27-10 because I just think the team has way too much talent and experienced leadership. And I think the coaching staff's going to have them ready to play.
I feel the same way. We've been ready to play except for that second half and the Chargers game where we, like I was telling you, 2 turnovers, 2 touchdowns. Can't give up the ball. That's 2 fumbles. You can't do it. One with Simeon, one with Jamal Charles. Cannot. And both, and they happen in our neck of the woods, in our backfield, so our side of the field. Can't do it.
Yep. Hey, listen, we're about ready to wrap up. I
Yep.
have to mention one more name, defensive guy, Shaq Barrett. We talked about him last week.
Man, monster.
He's playing at an All-Pro level. I don't think anyone would disagree. The guy's really stepped it up.
Dude, and after that last game, man, he was all over the place.
Yeah, and if I'm Shane Ray, I'm like thinking, boy, I better this wrist had better heal up. I better get back out there. I think I've lost my job.
I don't think he's lost his job, but man, I mean, cause you remember for the longest time, when people were trying to negotiate trades with us, they were like, "Hey, why don't you throw that Shaq Barrett guy in there with us?" Every time, every team was like, "Hey,
every time Elway's just click.
Yep, we're not giving up. We're not giving up 48. I don't care what the hell you throw at us. Short of Tom Brady, you're not getting him.
Not going to happen because we would have had Joe Thomas if we would have been willing to give Shaq Barrett up to the Browns. That's what the rumor was.
And that's saying a lot because he's pretty much the best offensive lineman in the game.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know who I'd give up. Maybe Aaron Donald is the only person I'd trade. Shaq Barrett.
Well, the personality of the team is defense. That's just our personality now.
Yeah.
And up until 2015, when we won the Super Bowl, you look at the Broncos, the last 30 years, it's been offense, offense, offense. That's what we've been known for. Elway and then Manning and even Plummer, who had good offenses. So we've been an offensive team. I like the change in attitude and the change in personality and the change in culture to defense.
Yeah.
Guess what? Defense wins championships.
Yep. And we won the last one because of defense.
And I think Elway has become a defensive GM.
I like it. I think so too. Has to. I mean, he's been lights out.
And guess what? He had a chance to hire Shanahan or Vance Joseph. He went with the defensive guy.
Yep. I think he's kind of changed his MO to a little bit of a defensive minded area.
Yep.
I like it because, I mean, if you can't throw on us, you can't run on us, means you're not going to score many points. That's kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah, as much as I liked watching the 2013 team, that was the Star Wars team that broke every NFL record.
Man, that was a good team too.
That was a fun team.
That was fun, but it was so heartbreaking when Seattle's defense was like, okay, you ain't played us yet, though.
No, but yeah, but I get more fired up with a world class defense. I think it's just more fun. I just love. I mean, that Dallas game, which just epitomizes what I love about football. I mean, we just punched them in the face. I mean, there's better players playing harder, better scheme, whatever it was. I mean, it was just mano on mano, and we beat those guys.
Yeah, straight up, literally 1-on-1.
And that's what Wolf said. He was asked after the game about, what's the secret to stopping the run. He said, attitude, and you got to beat your man 1-on-1. You got to beat him every time.
Hey, you have to, yeah. I mean, and we have the defense that is, as of right now, a rival of our defense from 2015. So, and that was statistically the best defense pretty much of all time.
Yeah, we finally found a replacement to Jackson. Looks like Gotsis could be that guy.
Yes. Malik Jackson. Wish he would have never left, but he ain't sniffing any Super Bowls in Florida.
Jacksonville. That's where players go to collect checks and die. You know that better than anyone. You lived down there for many years.
Oh man. I mean, they actually have. They've actually collected enough people that they're kind of relevant now. Draft picks. Yeah, they got Calais Campbell, which we tried to get.
4 sacks first game. How amazing is that? Yeah, no, I wish we had him. Although it looks like we don't need him. We didn't need.
I don't think we need him.
Yeah.
Could have liked to have him, but I'm not going to complain.
I think the commissioner may have overruled that trade. He may have said, "Look, that's just not even fair."
Yeah, that was like a Chris Paul going to the Lakers a couple of years back, where the NBA nullified the trade. They said, "Nah."
It's like competition committee said, "Look, we need the semblance of competition. We want people to believe the other team has a chance."
You can go to LA, but you ain't going to that team.
Yeah.
You're going to the Clippers, dude.
Hey, by the way, just we got to tune out here, but
yep.
Zach Kerr, is he back?
I think he's limited. I think he's back, but
he's another guy who's gonna be really good for us to rotate in there. Let me look him up because hopefully he's ready to go because he can relieve some of our D. By the way, he's from Virginia Beach, Zach Kerr.
Yeah, I know. Where did he go to high school at? I forget.
I don't even know. Maybe we can throw that out to the listeners.
Yeah, see, Yeah, where did Zach Kerr go to high school?
Zach Kerr is absent from the injury report.
Good. That means he is available.
It says here he's on track to take the field and provide depth at defensive end for Sunday's game against the Bills. That guy's going to be a very key rotational player for us.
Yeah, and we need all the depth. All of it.
All right, Ian, I think you should bring us home, man.
All right. So, you guys going to hear a couple segments from Austin. Austin wishes he could be here. He's got some prior engagements with with his church, which we all approve of, obviously. And so we can't wait to talk to y'all next week about the oncoming win, hopefully, which we're 99% sure, of the Bills. And I think we're just going to say goodnight after that. We're pretty much covered everything. Right, Kevin?
Yes, yes, indeed. Good podcast, Ian. Thanks again, and thanks to all of our listeners, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.